So what if my mix could instantly sound tighter, punchier, more expensive? In my mind, it's actually all about getting better at the mixing craft. But if you have a goodish mix, what happens when I run the mix through a piece of high quality analog gear? Well, today I am going to test the Elysia Xmax Master Bus Compressor. It's a device that is mainly meant to be used on the master bus with its multiband compressor, shelving EQ, and soft clipper. But you can of course use it on other tracks as well, for example a drum bus, a synth bus, or something else. But I have links to today's tracks in the description below. It's called Ancient Relays, and I have been finalizing this track through the Elysia Xmax Master Bus Compressor. So if you want to check out the track in today's video, when it's finished, you can check out the links below. So let's dive into it and see how it works. The first one here at the top left is the link one, which is deciding how much separation there's going to be between the different bands in the multiband compressor. Below that you have threshold for the mid, the side, and the low threshold layer. Below that you have the X frequency button, so this is the crossover frequency between the low and mid band, at around 140 Hertz at the top there. And of course the bottom one there is the release time, and this will affect the release time of all of the compressors. This is a tone where you can adjust the tone. So this is a shelving equalizer, so you can turn it up for, I think it's max 8 dB of gain, and down the same 8 dB if I'm not mistaken. And here you have the gain buttons for the multiband compression band. So you have the mid gain, the side gains, and the low gain. Then you also have a soft clipper adjustment there. Clipper that will round off the signal peaks. It can be quite harsh if you drive it, so that should be used with caution if you're using it on a master bus. And then you have the level button there, or not button, but adjusting the level of the unit. Then you have the hit it button on the bottom there. When it's orange, it's active, and when it's white, it's not active. Then you have a punch button here, which is basically a bit higher compression ratio. And then you have the low mo button, which is going to filter out frequencies, the side frequencies below, I think it was 150 Hertz, get them to mono instead. So let's listen to a part of the track I have been using this unit on. And I'm going to turn it on and off so you can sort of hear the difference. This is a track with a lot of things happening and a lot of saturated synth sound, so it's probably not the best thing to demo this device. We can do some more soloing of tracks later on and see how that works. So let's just check it out. Yes, I think these settings worked pretty good on this track. I'm not using any extreme settings here. I'm just mildly having some gain reduction in the mids and in the lows, like 3. And the soft clipper is barely being touched. I think it lights up on 2 of the lights occasionally. And I've used the tone shaping here, but just a little bit, not much, to give it some air there in the high end, and not much gain over here on the compressor. It is probably not being driven to extremes, but that's also not what I want. I just wanted to give it some final glue and some shine in the end there. So what we can do now is just adjust some of these settings, see what it does with the sound, and try to go a little bit to the extremes, and yeah, so you can see how this processor operates. So let's try that. Let's compress the mids a bit there. Everything. Now every band is individually controlled. The lows hard there. We're hearing some distortion. Let's take a part of the track that is not that busy, and let's just maybe take away the synth here, just have some kind of bass and kick going. If we link it, it will act as just a plain VCA compressor. Adjusted with the low threshold button there. You can hear some pumping. Let's decrease the release time. Nice. The low end a little bit. Just the tone a little bit. That's some heavy compression, but it doesn't sound that bad actually. Let's turn everything on and see what happens here. Yeah, that got too loud. But we can perhaps reduce the soft clipper here, or no, that was the gain. Let's reduce the clipper here and see. Yeah, it's just too loud. You can do it like this. Yeah, it's fun to work with it. You can drive it pretty hard and get some pretty cool results from it. And the soft clipper is obviously also pretty cool. So if I make some clipping, so you can see the waveform in FabFilter Pro here. So when I adjust this, you can see that the waveform or the amplitude goes down. But here we can sort of hear some distortion, I think. Maybe it's difficult to hear. Yeah, so when I finished my track, it was barely sort of touching the first lead here, if you will. But of course it will help get you that final dB before the limiter. I'm running this right before the FabFilter L2 limiter. The EQ here, we can listen to that also. So yeah, of course I use synthesizers with a bit of saturation, and I'm using the Moog, of course. So it's probably not the ideal thing to demo it, but that's the way I'm going to use it. So, but yeah, the Xmax is a really cool device, and I think I'm definitely going to find a place for it in my workflow where it's going to be mainly living on the master bus. I don't have much room around me for synthesizers and hardware and physical gear, so when we talk about workflow, I want to have it as streamlined as possible and as actually few hardware gear as possible, because frankly I don't have the space and really I don't want the hassle. But I really like the cube format of the Elysia Xmax. It makes it just easy to have one module without having to necessarily invest into the 500 rack series. And I think that you can actually take the cards out from the cube here and put them in a 500 series rack if you want. But you have to check that with the module you buy, because I don't think it works with all of those modules. So using outboard gear for me is a new experience, except synthesizers, of course. What I miss with the Xmax is obviously a way of recalling the settings in my DAW. I know that there are some outboard gear that you can recall. I think it's Wes Audio, but the Xmax can't do that. It's not really a big deal for me because I am mainly going to use it on the master bus anyway, but of course it could be nice. Everything is nice to have. I think that my skills in mixing is getting maybe a little bit better, but I noticed something that when I tried playing my new track in my living room, this is a place where I usually have problems getting my mixes to translate, so that's why I'm trying it in my living room. But using this track sounded really good actually compared to what I have done before. Now that could be that I am just better at mixing, but I also think that using the Xmax here might have helped a little bit with that glue, a little bit with that sort of analog feel, if you will. So I think that it's cool to have some analog touch on my final mixes, and it just really sounds good in my opinion. This is something that I'm going to be permanently using in my projects, but it's mostly going to be at the end of when I've sort of finished with my track and I want to get that sort of final analog touch. So I always, of course, try to fix everything in the mix before, adding gear like this, but it helps. I bought the Elysia Xmax unit myself, so this is not a sponsored video in any way. Elysia don't know that I'm making this video, they don't know anything. But if you want to have it, I have affiliate links to it in the description below, and that of course helps me out if you use that. It doesn't cost anything more. Let me know if you want me to test something else with this unit. And if your comment gets many likes, I might just make more videos about it. Take care, and I will maybe see you in the next one. Goodbye.